Good morning, everybody. Please be seated. We have a very long day today in front of us. 14 sites to discuss. Please. Thank you very much. Yes, please be seated. Good morning, everybody. So we'll start our session. Please be seated. Dear colleague, it was requested at the Bureau this morning to change the order of examination of the nomination of Russia, Montana, Romania. It is therefore proposed to examine this nomination at the end of item 8B. I trust that you all agree with this proposal. So we will resume our discussion of yesterday and the issue of Italy, le Colline del Prosecco. And now we have in front of us 6 speakers. And I give the floor now to Zimbabwe, please. Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zimbabwe agrees with some of the speakers that spoke yesterday that the state party should be given an opportunity to explain some of the differences that are in the analysis with the advisory body. The Colline is a landmark as well as a system of knowledge developed over many in the 17th century and which has been carried out to many lands by the migrants that left this area. The unique set of techniques and know-how and experiments which have played a role in the development of agriculture and viticulture in the new territories, but also in the Colline Valley. It is also a successful development model in terms of working in environmentally marginalized conditions and which has provided for the well-being and sense of identity of the communities as well as the migrants that went to the other continents. The nomination of Colline looks beyond the European borders, taking it to further lands where it has been a key influence in agriculture in the parts where the migrants have gone. The comparative analysis also highlights the influence of the techniques in reclamation models which have made agriculture and local knowledge central in the development. The difference between the Colline Valley vineyards and other vineyards that are on the World Heritage List is that this is based on a struggle of poor farmers, as opposed to others which were more organizations working in this area. This is a celebration of the struggle of poor farmers. The farmers have for centuries adapted to the hardships of the land, and they have managed but also taken this knowledge to other areas. We do not have this system of values and attributes on the World Heritage List yet. We therefore propose that the Colline Valley be inscribed under criteria 4 and 5. We are also pleased that ICOMOS does recognize that there is adequate management and other positive attributes. And as I already mentioned, we request that the state party be given an opportunity to explain some of the differences or the misunderstandings that are there.
Thank you very much. I give the floor now to Azerbaijan, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The nominated property consists of large numerous religious and defensive buildings, farmhouses, urban settlements, and villages, which were constructed during the long span since 11th until to the 18th century. The Colin del Prosecco's nomination puts forward several innovative themes to be represented in the World Heritage List. The first theme refers to the biocultural rural landscape. The site possesses outstanding scenic aspects that differentiate it from all other properties, thanks to its geomorphology and the agrarian solution which were used since centuries to keep it preserved and authentic. The second theme refers to the adaptation to a tough environment by a multitude of small-scale farms who were able not only to overcome all these challenges but also to become a symbol of a success story recognized around the world. The third one refers to the migration. The unique set of techniques, know-how, and experimentation developed in the nominated landscape was exported by migrants of the area along the migratory routes to different continents. This would be the first time that the role of migration as flow and exchange of experiences and know-how could be recognized in the list. Despite the strong potential for winemaking in the nominated landscape, the local government adopted a specific regulation to limit the land use and preserve the integrity of the territory. The protection, conservation, management, and monitoring system meet all the relevant requirements. The conditions of integrity and authenticity are met too, whereas the significance of the nominated property and its outstanding universal value is justified on the basis criteria 5. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And now, Uganda, you have the floor. Uganda.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. The rural landscape of La Colline de Prosecco de Conegliano Valdum Biedene holds unique, grand, spectacular, and imposing character and heritage attributes that arouse a newer and hitherto untested paradigm shift in UNESCO's norms of World Heritage listing. Madam Chair, in a critical reflective stance, the hilly ridges of this property are reminiscent of a unique geomorphological configuration and cultural heritage geography inhabited and cultivated for centuries, hardly akin to any other similar or mixed cultural and agricultural landscapes worldwide. Madam Chairperson, globally speaking, this intriguing geomorphology and this centuries-old scientific efforts and artistry to adapt to it present exceptional vineyard architecture rarely found in other viticultural landscapes. On the strength of these rare attributes, Madam Chair Lady, my delegation courteously stands to differ from the position of ICOMOS and henceforth advocates for inscription of Italy's Le Colline de Prosecco di Conegliano Valdum Biadene to the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Hungary, you have the floor.
Hungary greets the submission of the carefully prepared nomination file and commends the state party's willingness for cooperation and openness to dialogue throughout the whole evaluation process. Hungary feels certain that the comparative analysis underlined the significance of the nominated site, which played an important role also in the development of the viticulture of several other countries. After the examination of the nomination file and the evaluation of the advisory body, Hungary is convinced that the nominated site has an exceptional value which shouldn't be overlooked by the World Heritage Committee, therefore proposes the site for inscription. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And now, Indonesia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Indonesia take note of the Italians' objection regarding the field mission report. We are also noting with concern the diverging views between the state party concerned and the advisory bodies regarding the field mission report and recommended decision. We would like to draw the attention of the committee members that in terms of comparative study, the landscape of the nominated property is different with other vineyards already inscribed on the World Heritage List, with a geomorphology in the form of hogback that required local farmers to invent new technology in order to adapt with the harsh environment. This unique landscape has also served as an important icon in European art scene, having been depicted in a number of religious paintings of the Venetian Italian Renaissance master. This in itself is a recognition of the OUV of the property. The state party has seriously demonstrated its commitment in taking conservation efforts and heritage management of the property, as recognized in the dossier by ICOMOS. Recognizing these unique features of the property, we are of the view that this nomination should not be disregarded altogether. Thus, we recommend giving opportunity to the state party and the advisory body to have a dialogue and consultation session to settle all discrepancies in a constructive manner. The state party should also be given more time to revise the dossier, in particular by emphasizing the unique and outstanding feature of the property. I would like to join other committee members who have to invite the state party concerned to give more information on this nomination in this forum. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Spain, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. España considera también que se trata de un paisaje singular, con particulares valores culturales y ecológicos, y el dossier, el bien, está en líneas generales adecuadamente descrito, apoyándose en la antropización y las dificultades geomorfológicas del territorio, las relaciones con la economía rural y el paisaje cultural, las dimensiones culturales en relación con la percepción y la representación del paisaje. Como bien se ha señalado por otras personas que han intervenido, la propuesta de inscripción hecha en el drafting que se nos ha presentado en este comité se fundamenta en los criterios 4 y 5 y en ese sentido se ha aportado una justificación al respecto. España considera que considera que al ser uno de los 11 paisajes vitivinícolas de los que ya están inscritos, la justificación de estos criterios debe reforzarse y eso se desprende también del análisis comparativo. Por ello, creemos que en el dossier no ha quedado tan evidente esta justificación de que aporten ese valor universal. Es un paisaje ecocultural de valores relevantes, donde el eje argumental es el viñedo. Y nosotros consideramos que sí tiene valores relevantes y excepcionales, pero trabajando más el dossier se podrían encontrar esos atributos universales que se están sosteniendo por otras delegaciones y que nosotros consideramos que requieren unas aportaciones adicionales. Nosotros, por tanto, preferiríamos mantener la propuesta original hecha por los organismos de evaluación, reiterando que es un bien que tiene un gran potencial y un gran valor. Muchísimas gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you very much. Norway, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Norway comprehends the views expressed by the distinguished ambassador of Spain. But let us commend Italy as well for its hard work as guardians of cultural heritage and the trust given to this expert committee. Norway has studied very carefully the nomination of Le Colline del Prosecco di Conegliano a Valdo Biadane, as well as the additional information given by the state party. Norway has difficulties finding that the rationale given for and within criteria 4 and 5 is fully developed. Further, seen in relation to other World Heritage properties on cultural landscape, Norway finds it difficult to see as to whether this nomination adds new perspectives and themes to the World Heritage list, and thus contributes to the accomplishment of the global strategic goals. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I must at the outset say that we are considering here in Prosecco an impressive cultural landscape, and we congratulate the State Party of Italy for bringing forward this nomination, and we echo the comments of Norway about the enormous contribution that the State Party of Italy brings to the life of World Heritage. It is a tremendous contribution which Italy makes. We have heard a lot of discussion in relation to this dossier already, which has focused on the integrity and authenticity of this site, and they are evident and not in contention. But we are yet to see a clear case made in relation to this dossier that demonstrates that it is of outstanding universal value, though, as with Spain, we acknowledge that that potential is there. On this basis, Australia is proposing to move an amendment to the draft decision which, rather than not inscribe, would defer the property. And this would enable the State Party, with advice of ICOMOS, to further define the potential outstanding universal value of the cultural landscape and the attribute to the potential outstanding universal value. It would also enable Italy to reconsider and further elaborate the comparative analysis as an essential basis for demonstrating how this cultural landscape can be considered to be exceptional in relation to other similar properties inscribed or not inscribed on the World Heritage List. And we do believe that this would best be done through a support of an expert mission to the site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cuba, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Nuestra delegación desea agradecer la información brindada en el informe de ICOMOS. Consideramos que este paisaje cultural tiene un valor universal que descansa en los criterios 4 y 5 de las directrices operativas, como fue presentado. Su geomorfología y clima lo hacen un lugar de especial interés, en el que se desarrolla un sistema socioeconómico basado en la dimensión familiar de la empresa y la producción vinícola, un paisaje en el que se da también un proceso de encuentro intercultural, donde campesinos y migrantes tuvieron que hacer un gran esfuerzo de resiliencia, de adaptación, que permitió una visualidad y la morfología que tenemos hoy en este paisaje, desarrollando técnicas muy particulares para el desarrollo. A nuestro juicio, tiene un aporte importante esta candidatura, que sin dudas consideramos tendría valores para ser inscrito en la lista. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to Italy to reply to the inquiries, please. Italy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to all the countries which took the floor so far. Ever since the ratification of the Convention, Italy has abided by the recommendation of its advisory body. For 46 years, our cooperation with evaluation bodies has helped us to improve the protection of our properties. On this occasion, however, we do not agree with ICOMOS evaluation because it's based on prejudice. The recommendation denies the recognition of OUV, affirming that the list is already fully booked with similar properties. Italy calls for inscription because we believe that the site is unique and fully respects the criteria 4 and 5. First of all, the unique hogback of the hilly ridge that is not reflected in any other World Heritage Site. Secondly, the site unique land and hydraulic arrangements, namely the so-called Ciglio Nature. Third, the unique landscape matrix, a highly fragmented mosaic representing the first biocultural landscape to be inscribed in the list. All these features and values, as shown in the pictures in front of us, testify the strength of Criterion 5 of the nomination. Furthermore, the colline are an example of adaptation to a harsh environment by a multitude of heroic farmers. Thanks to the traditional practices conceived by these communities, this landscape has been preserved until today as a remarkable example of sustainable agriculture. And the universal value of this is seen by the numbers of migrants that brought vineyards and these techniques throughout the world, from Australia to Brazil, South America, and North America. These constitute an outstanding representation of Criterion 4 and allow to preserve its integrity up to now. With reference to the boundaries, authenticity, and historical development, the property has remained unchanged since centuries, as demonstrated by Napoleonic times, 200 years. In conclusion, regarding the interference and information leaks during the evaluation process, I confirm that as a member of the Italian government, I deem what happened a very unfortunate accident. We hope it will not occur in the future in the interest of the integrity and professionalism of the advisory body and for the progress of the convention and from the trust of nation member state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to the ICOMOS, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to respond to some of the points that have been raised by the honourable delegates during the discussions yesterday and today. The comparative analysis has been raised several times, and it was indicated that in ICOMOS's evaluation it was considered sound. Indeed, we did use that word, but we considered what was sound was the methodology that was used. But we also went on to say that the chosen values and attributes were incomplete and at times inadequate, in that what was compared were not the attributes that were part of the OUV that was proposed for justification. There are similar clarifications I'd also like to make for integrity and authenticity, because we did not consider that either of these had been met. We considered that while for integrity, while the nominated, for authenticity, while the nominated property may be authentic as a whole, as far as architectural forms, styles, and materials are concerned. So the quote has to be limited to one aspect of the property. And similarly, in terms of integrity, we had concerns. I would like to mention the issue of migration, which has also been mentioned quite a number of times, that the techniques and technologies in Prosecco were taken by migrants to different parts of the world. This is mentioned in the dossier, but it is not part of the justification, and indeed Criterion 2 has not been put forward to analyse and justify the influence of that migration. Another theme that has been mentioned several times is the one of redemption, this idea that the Prosecco landscape is an outstanding example of small-scale farmers being redeemed from work on wine cultivation. Indeed, Prosecco area was part of this kind of redemptive model in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, but it was not confined to Prosecco, and it was something that was evident across the Veneto region. And in our view, the Prosecco area isn't even perhaps the best example of this redemption idea. And similarly, we would like to comment on the idea of the technological institutes that have also been mentioned as part of that redemption model. And they were widespread in parts of Italy. They were not confined to Prosecco. A further issue that has been raised is the struggle, the idea that this is reflects the struggle of small farmers to make a living, the idea that this was a resilient landscape. But this has been recognised on the World Heritage List, and the PICO nomination was an exceptional example of this, of the struggle of small-scale farmers in a harsh environment, and that is already on the World Heritage List. ICOMOS has not said that the list is fully booked. I would like to stress that point, but rather that the outstanding universal value of this landscape has not been justified. Finally, we respect the idea of rural landscapes and cultural landscapes such as this contributing to sustainable development and the socio-economic development of local communities. But that in itself, in our view, does not justify outstanding universal value. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Please, ICOMOS again.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would like to stress again, as I explained yesterday, the ICOMOS strongly stick to the principle of ethical and ethical principles for World Heritage business. And I have to stress that confidentiality was strictly kept in the case of Prosecco. I can tell you not only in front of the people in this room, but also thousands of people who are observing this session through the webcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to the reporter to present the amendments, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I wish a good morning to our colleagues. As we have heard during the discussions, I have received a set of very conflicting amendments to this draft decision. As you know, the original draft decision would not have inscribed this property on the World Heritage List. I have received an amendment from Tunisia, Kuwait, Zimbabwe, Hungary, Tanzania, Uganda, and Guatemala, which would instead inscribe this site on the World Heritage List. And then I have received an amendment from Australia, which would instead defer the examination of this nomination. And during our debate, we have heard support for the amendment proposed by the group of country, and we have also heard support for the original draft decision. So, if I may, Madam Chair, through you, request from the committee which set of draft amendments would we like to look at first? Thank you.
Australia, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So just in terms of the rules of procedure, my understanding is that the committee should first start with the proposal that is furthest from the original. So when we're faced with a recommendation not to inscribe and there is a proposal to inscribe, then it seems to me that is the matter we should deal with first and take it from there.
Thank you. Is there any objection? No.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I apologize for these few moments. As such, the proposal that we have received from the group of countries for the inscription of this property on the World Heritage List, as you can see, we have the proposal in paragraph 2 for the inscription, and then going further down below, logically we now have a provisional statement of outstanding universal value, which includes the identification of criteria under which the property should be inscribed, assessment of conditions of integrity as well as authenticity. We also have a statement on the protection and management requirements. And if we scroll further down below, yes, we also have a set of recommendations to the state party. So this is the first set of amendments that we have received. And then, just so that the committee is clear, the other proposal we received from Australia would instead defer the examination of this nomination. Subsequently, the Australian proposal only consists of 3 paragraphs. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments, views in this respect? Norway, please. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to admit it is a bit of a limbo that we're stuck in here because these 2 proposals are very far from each other. As I could see the room, it appeared to be very quiet when you asked for comments. It is also why I was hesitating to take the floor, because I'm hesitant myself on how we should proceed on this matter. We find it, I have to admit, difficult to follow the line of reasoning that is in the proposal from the group of countries based on what we heard from ICOMOS and the arguments we've heard from other colleagues in the room. So is this, maybe we should ask other colleagues also for the comments, but is this a situation where do we go? Do we ask for a vote, or how do we cope with this?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there any views, or you think we go according to the rules? Cannot see anybody. Australia, please.
Chairperson, I'm quite comfortable with an uncomfortable silence, but perhaps others aren't. I think it's quite obvious that there are differences of view as to how best to handle this dossier, and in those circumstances I think we have reached a point in our deliberations where there is really only one means by which this can be resolved, and that is by a vote of the committee, I'd suggest.
Thank you very much. Indonesia, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to give my contribution on my views on this silent situation. We have heard from many countries, it's 7 countries has supported, several countries has mentioned their opinion. Some countries, mentioned their objections. So if we can encourage the other committee to give their opinion, and so we can feel that maybe we don't need to go to the vote, but we can feel the support on this. So whether it should worthwhile for an objection, and then we can go from there, instead of just listen to the silence and then all of a sudden come to in a conclusion. This is what I propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, continue. Norway, you have the floor.
I just need to ask, with reference to the rules of procedure, if Australia asked for a vote, if that is now hanging, and we are discussing whether there are more supporters on the deferral side, if I understood the Indonesian colleague correctly. If you could get some clarification, please. Thank you.
So Australia, Norway asked for clarification about the vote, please. Would you like to answer now, or I give the floor to to Bahrain first? You think we give the floor to Bahrain and then China, and then we'll go back to Australia. So Bahrain.
We had the same clarification requested from Norway to our colleagues in the Australian delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. China, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Chairperson. We are very sympathetic to Italy's view and their explanation. But we also hear quite contrasting views on this particular matter. And I suppose somewhere, if we don't have to go to a vote, that might be the best solution. And perhaps the truth is somewhere in between. Perhaps a good way will be giving more time to the parties involved to consider it a little further. We may leave the case at this particular point and proceed to the next item for the time being, so that there could be more consultation with the state parties concerned and some of the committee members that are proposing different proposals. So that's China's opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brazil, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think that given the polarization of positions we have seen in the analysis of this decision, I would tend to agree with the proposal made by Australia and also endorsed by our colleague of China, so that we give the state parties some more time to reinforce its dossier and present it again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Australia, please. Do you have any other views?
I think really the only observation that I can make is that I've heard now what I believe to be several further members of the committee express a view that is supportive of Australia's proposal for deferral of the dossier. It's not obvious to me that given the very different views which are being expressed, which is one group of committee members that have spoken in favour of inscription now and another group of states parties, including Australia, which are not in the position where we could agree to inscription, that difference of view is capable of being resolved in the margins of the committee meeting through further dialogue. We feel that Australia has already moved in a positive direction in relation to this dossier, which was recommended not for inscription, and we have indicated that we see in the dossier the potential for outstanding universal value to be identified, but that the states party on our analysis needs to do further work in order to clearly articulate that outstanding universal value. And the best way for that to happen from Australia's viewpoint is for it to be referred back to the state party, for there to be further substantial dialogue between the state party and ICOMOS through a mission which would enable Italy to bring forward a dossier which we are hopeful would ultimately meet with the favour of the World Heritage Committee. So on that basis, I think it is best that we seek to resolve this matter on the floor of the committee.
Thank you very much. Norway, you have the floor.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, and I'm sorry for taking the floor again. We still feel very conflicted about the situation we're sitting in. And I do believe it was asked for a vote before, and I do think that the Norwegian delegation would support that and ask for a secret ballot in line with Rule 41 of the operational guidelines on the deferral, no inscription proposition. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, I just want to understand what the Norwegian delegation is
Excuse
proposing.
me. According to the rules, we have to close the debate because there is a request for vote.
Yeah.
Excuse me, so we will start.
Is Zimbabwe supporting?
Is Zimbabwe supporting?
Point of order from Australia.
Please, Australia, you have the...
Just on a point of order, Madam Chairperson. So Norway has now called for a secret ballot. So the first thing I should do is indicate that Australia will also agrees with Norway's suggestion, which means that according to the rules of procedure, we are now in circumstances where a secret ballot is the requirement under the rules of procedure. But it is important for us to, however, clarify exactly what it is we are having a secret ballot on. And my understanding under the rules of procedure is that we would be, the secret ballot would be in relation to whether the property should be inscribed or whether the amendment to inscribe the property on the World Heritage List should be adopted. If, and then when we have the outcome of that, we will then have advice about the next step that we need to take. I would think that in the case of it being a decision to inscribe, that's the end of it. If it's a decision not to accept the amendment, then I believe we would move on and to consider Australia's proposal for a deferral of the nomination, but the legal advisor may wish to clarify the steps in the process for us now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, and now I give the floor to the legal advisor to give us the steps for the secret vote.
Thank you very much. Very briefly, if the members of the committee consider this proposal, the two proposals, to be amendments, then, as has been said, the amendment which is furthest from the original proposal is the one that would need to be voted on first. So if the members consider the amendment, if the members consider the proposal for inscription to be an amendment, then that is the proposal that will need to be voted on first. And as two member states have requested a vote by secret ballot, the vote will be conducted by secret ballot. And I understand the Secretariat will place the language for the committee members to clearly understand that which they're voting on. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will draft now. They will draft the wording of the decision which you will take, which you will vote on it. Please be seated, and during the vote, nobody allowed to move or talk or change his place or her place. Please. So we will start. We will start the vote, and before that, the legal advisor will give you the clarification of the situation. The legal advisor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, inscription and non-inscription, in this case inscription, are matters covered by the Convention, and a 2/3 majority is therefore required. Thank you.
Now the rapporteur will read the wording of what you are going to vote. Please, the rapporteur.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I am now going to read out the question on which the committee shall be voting on by secret ballot, and it is the following. Are you in favor of the amendment for inscription submitted by Tunisia, Kuwait, Zimbabwe, Hungary, United Republic of Tanzania, Uganda, Guatemala, on draft decision 42-8B-31 concerning le colline del Prosecco di Conegliano e Valdobbiadene, Italy? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Now we appointed two tellers, Kyrgyzstan and Burkina Faso. Could you please come here, the podium? Thank you. The Secretariat, please read the name of the countries.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Angola, could you please come forward with your envelope? Angola has voted. Australia, please. Australia has voted. Azerbaijan? Azerbaijan has voted. Bahrain? Bahrain has voted. Bosnia and Herzegovina? Bosnia and Herzegovina has voted. Brazil? Could you please line up already so that we don't lose too much time? Burkina Faso, please. Brazil has voted. Burkina Faso, please. Burkina Faso a voté. China, please. China has voted. Cuba, please. Cuba has voted. Guatemala, please. Guatemala has voted. Hungary, please. Hungary has voted. Indonesia, please. Indonesia has voted. Kuwait, please. Kuwait has voted. Kyrgyzstan, please. Kyrgyzstan has voted. Norway, please. Norway has voted. St. Kitts and Nevis, please. There. St. Kitts and Nevis has voted. Spain, please. Spain has voted. Tunisia. S'il vous plaît. La Tunisie a voté. Uganda, please. Uganda has voted. United Republic of Tanzania, please. Tanzania has voted. Zimbabwe, please. Zimbabwe has voted. This completes the voting process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. So the result is number of absent comments, committee member, 0. Number of invalid ballots, 0. Number of blank ballot, 0. Majority required 14. Yes, 12. No, 9. Therefore, the proposal for inscription did not succeed with the required majority. Now, we now will go to the proposal of Australia, the deferral. So, is there any objection for deferral? Is there any objection? No? Angola, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Compte tenu de l'analyse que nous avons faite sur ce dossier et après avoir écouté l'ICOMOS, l'État partie et tous les autres États membres du comité, l'Angola est d'avis qu'on renvoie le dossier et pas le différer. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Hungary, please.
Dear Chairperson, Hungary can agree with the proposal of Angola. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, now Angola and Hungary, do you have a written amendment? Guatemala, please. Hungary, please. Hungary, you have any comments?
Hungary doesn't have any comment.
So, Guatemala, please.
Gracias, señora Presidente. En vista de los resultados de la votación, creemos que no hay un consenso para inscribir el bien, pero también podemos ver que no hay un consenso para aplazar la evaluación de esta nominación. Verbalmente quisiéramos entonces respaldar la propuesta hecha por Angola para devolver el expediente. Gracias, señora Presidenta.
Have you prepared a written proposal for the referral? Have you prepared?
No, aún no.
The state party has to go out.
The state party must not attend the meeting, please. Not go to the committee member, as it is not according to the law of procedure. The state party must stay in their seat or go out, please. Has Guatemala prepared a proposal for the referral? You have prepared a proposal? Tunisia, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. La Tunisie, au vu de l'ensemble des discussions, propose et soutient la proposition de l'Angola pour le renvoi et nous avons préparé un texte écrit en ce sens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now Zimbabwe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zimbabwe also seconds the proposal by Angola and endorses the arguments of Guatemala. Thank you.
Thank you. Uganda, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Uganda supports the proposal by Angola and will work with Angola and others in support to come up with a draft amendment. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We also support the amendment be submitted by Referral. Thank you.
Thank you very much. China, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. China second Angola's proposal for referral. Thank you.
Norway, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we're in a situation now where we're discussing whether or not to not inscribe, as was the draft decision, or the proposal by Australia. And the refer here. And I think the compromise is the proposal from Australia to defer. Defer, sorry. It's getting complicated, this. So we would support Australia in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Cuba, please.
Sí, gracias. La delegación de Cuba también segunda la propuesta de Angola. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Kyrgyzstan, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We support Angola's amendment proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Tunisia, could you please read your wording?
Nous avons déjà remis le texte au secrétariat, au rapporteur, mais si vous voulez qu'on le lise, on est prêt à le faire. Il faudra nous le redonner.
Spain, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias. Yo quisiera simplemente señalar dos puntos. En primer lugar, querría saber si vamos a ver primero la propuesta que ha hecho Australia para deferir el dossier y si luego vamos a ver la que todavía no tenemos en pantalla y que nos han anunciado que van a presentar. Y en segundo lugar, me gustaría también que hubiera un cierto debate sobre si realmente hay que ir a enviarlo al año que viene o hacer un deferral, puesto que lo que se le exige al Estado parte en un caso o en otro es distinto, y entiendo que en nuestro caso tiene que haber un trabajo adicional, y en este sentido nosotros propondríamos apoyaríamos la propuesta de Australia. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you. Now, could Tunisia please read the text in order that the translator make the other languages, please? Read the text, please.
Oui, Madame la Présidente. Projet de décision 42.8b.31. Le Comité du patrimoine mondial. Point 1. Ayant examiné les documents aux trois références, je ne vais pas les lire. Point 2. Renvoie la colline del Prosecco à l'État partie, prenant note du grand potentiel du bien proposé à remplir les critères 4 et 5 pour, premier point, redéfinir la proposition d'inscription en recentrant sur sa valeur universelle et sur les critères 4 et 5. Point B, définir les limites et les zones tampons du bien proposé pour l'inscription. Point C, compléter le processus d'approbation par les 29 municipalités concernées de la loi technique Articolo Unico déjà approuvée par la région Vénétie au mois de janvier 2018. Troisièmement, prendre note du fait que l'état de conservation général du site est adéquat, que que les mesures de conservation adoptées sont généralement efficaces et ces systèmes de gestion et de monitorage sont bien conçus et structurés. Salue l'engagement en matière budgétaire pris par les municipalités concernées. Point 4 et final. Félicite l'État partie pour le plan de gestion intégré qui assure la coopération entre tous les acteurs publics et privés impliqués dans la gestion du site, ainsi que pour l'engagement exprimé par la région Vénétie et les municipalités concernées d'accroître la coopération dans les domaines de la mise en valeur, de la protection et de la conservation du site candidat.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Azerbaijan, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Azerbaijan would like to second the proposal of Angola on referral of this nomination. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Brazil, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would very much like to support the amendment proposed by the proposal of Angola. But we understand that the considerations made by our colleague from Tunisia would better qualify the proposal as a deferral and not a referral, as it is the spirit. Therefore, the Brazilian delegation would like, in order to support a referral, include one amendment saying that recommends the state party to consider inviting ICOMOS to work on the preparation of a proposal for a revised nomination in accordance with the recommendations of the World Heritage Committee within the framework of the upstream process. I would repeat, recommends the state party to consider inviting ICOMOS. Yes? É que eu boto o óculos para ver longe, tiro o óculos para... This proposal Brazil has just made would be a last paragraph. If you would like to take note of it, I could come back to the text. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tunisia, please.
Madame la Présidente, nous sommes tout à fait sensibles aux améliorations proposées par le Brésil, mais je crois qu'en termes de méthode et d'avancement dans la séance, d'abord mettons-nous d'accord sur le principe, quelle est la décision à prendre. Une fois qu'on a décidé de la décision, on va dans ce cas se concentrer sur la formulation optimale de cette option choisie.
The rapporteur, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would like to request for you, the distinguished delegate of Brazil, to repeat her proposal so that it can be clearly captured on the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Recommends the state party to invite, the state party to consider inviting ICOMOS to work on the preparation of a proposal for a revised nomination in accordance with the recommendations of the World Heritage Committee within the framework of the upstream process.
Bahrain, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regards to the reference of the upstreaming process, I think in accordance with the discussions we've had in previous ad hoc working groups and committee meetings, an upstream intervention is not accurate within this stage of the nomination. So I think it will just add another level of confusion referencing upstream in a case that is referred, which is by default assumes an already existing OUV. And if there's any comments as well, that's provided by other committee members on this matter. But I think that is a case that might complicate matters when it comes again next year if it is referred by the committee. And again, I would like to point out that this is a case where there is strong conflict of opinion between the state party and ICOMOS. And if we're asking them to work together in the coming year, we as committee members need to ensure that there will actually be continuous dialogue that's constructive and that will assist in identifying the OUV of this property so that we're not confronted next year with similar complicated matters. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Bosnia, please.
Bosnia and Herzegovina support amendment made by Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Australia, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Firstly, just like to say that we have just been listening to the discussion as it's unfolded, and it does seem to us that a majority of the committee have spoken in favour of a referral rather than a deferral, and my understanding is that if this was a matter that was going to go to a vote, that it would be resolved by simple majority, not by a two-thirds majority. But nonetheless, I don't think this is a matter that we really do want to go to a vote. We think that the Brazilian amendment to the referral proposal with the removal of the reference to the upstream process, because we do agree with Bahrain that it's not the right reference on this occasion, is a wise addition to the proposed amendment for referral. I also want to make the observation that this is a very important amendment from Australia's perspective, and that we have great hope that the State Party and ICOMOS will be able to work through this dossier in a collaborative way and bring a nomination back to the committee in a revised form, which we would look forward to considering at a future meeting. I also make the observation that referral does not mean it comes back next year. Referral is referral, and there is a longer time frame, and we would encourage that if the committee does make a decision to refer the nomination, that the States Party takes the time necessary to get this right, so that we don't find ourselves in circumstances again like we found ourselves today. Having said all of that, and given our sort of sense of the disposition of states parties and there being a majority who are supportive of a proposal to refer, then Australia will withdraw its proposal for a deferral reluctantly, but in the interests of finding a consensus position in the committee.
Thank you very much. Now Zimbabwe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to say that Zimbabwe supports the proposal by Bahrain, seconded by Australia, to remove reference to the upstream process.
Thank you very much. And now Spain, please.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. En el entendido de que hay un sentimiento mayoritario, como ha expresado el colega de Australia, hacia un referral, yo lo que quería señalar es que hiciéramos una buena lectura de los distintos párrafos que estamos incorporando para que cuando el trabajo que se haga de aquí al año que viene sea consistente. Evidentemente coincidimos con la valoración que ha hecho Bahrein, pero sí que nos gustaría tener que la Secretaría también nos ayudara a ver cómo podemos hacer una propuesta de decisión coherente para referirla al año que viene, sin que estemos pidiendo cosas que suelen pedirse en un procedimiento del siguiente ciclo de evaluación y que implican un gran trabajo tanto del propio Estado parte como de la Secretaría y de ICOMOS. En ese sentido, reiterando pues el espíritu constructivo para que podamos lograr una buena decisión para un referral, pediría esa asistencia para que la decisión tuviera una mayor coherencia. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. Tanzania, please.
Madam Chair, Tanzania support of the position of Angola with the amendment proposed by Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to the reporter to show us the amendments, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As you can see on the screen right now, we are clearing up the text. So while we do that, I'll try to quickly sum up the happenings of this morning. So this morning we had a vote, secret ballot, on the amendment that was submitted by a group of countries for the inscription of this property. As the majority required was not attained, we were left with two proposals. One was the original draft decision that would not have inscribed this property, and the other one was an amendment submitted by Australia for the deferral of the examination of this nomination. But after the debate, we had heard a proposal from Angola to instead refer this nomination back to the state party, and we have heard wide support for these amendments. And after this wide support, we have heard an intervention from the distinguished delegate of Australia, who has withdrawn their proposal for deferral. So right now we're going to have on the screen a proposal for the referral of this nomination back to the state party with an additional amendment we have received from Brazil. That's going to be the new paragraph 6. So we are going to ask for your patience while we clean up the text, and then we're going to distribute it so that you all have a clear text in front of you. Thank you very much.
They are completing the text to make it easier for the committee. Please go ahead. Norway, please.
I'm really sorry for taking the floor again. There's been an amendment circulated just now, which is very different from what we're having on the screen. I'm sorry.
Now let us see the final text and then we discuss. Let us see, maybe it's by Brazil. Yeah, thank you. Brazil, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to inform you that we agree with the proposals made of eliminating the mention to upstream process. So in Brazil's proposal, we could end the sentence at the World Heritage Committee, full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify the question from Norway, this was the previous proposal by Tunisia. And so not to add to the confusion, with the rapporteur, we are just cleaning up the text. And to facilitate your debate, it takes a few minutes that they look at all. Thank you.
the reporter, please, can read it.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I thank you very much for your kind patience while we cleaned up the text. So what now you're going to see on the screen behind me is an amendment for the referral of this nomination. And I'm going to read out the whole draft decision from the top. So paragraph 1 would read, having examined documents WHC/18/42.com/8b and WHC/18/42.com/inf8b1 and WHC/18/42.com/inf.8b4. Paragraph 2 would read, refers the nomination of Le Colline del Prosecco di Conegliano e Valdobbiadene, Italy, back to the State Party, taking note of the high potential of the proposed site under criteria 4 and 5. 2. Redefine the nomination, refocusing the outstanding universal value on criteria 4 and 5. Slightly define the boundaries and buffer zones of the nominated property. Completing the adoption process by the 28 concerned municipalities of the tool technical rule Articolo Unico, which was already approved by the Veneto region in January 2018. The new paragraph 3 would read, takes note that the general state of conservation of the site is adequate and that the adopted measures of conservation are generally effective. Its monitoring and management systems are well conceived and structured, and the funding commitments by the relevant local authorities are to be saluted. Paragraph 4 would read, commends the State Party for the structured governance process to ensure cooperation among all public and private actors involved in the site management. It also commends the commitment expressed by the territorial authorities to increase cooperation for the valorization, protection, and preservation of the nominated property. And the new paragraph 5, which is the one that was proposed by Brazil, would read, recommends the State Party to consider inviting ICOMOS to work on the preparation of a proposal for a revised nomination in accordance with the recommendations of the World Heritage Committee, full stop. Madam Chair, if I may have an observation at this point, I believe that the wording for this last paragraph should be slightly revised so that it could read, recommends the State Party to, in dialogue with ICOMOS to work on the preparation of a proposal for a revised nomination or something along this line, if the authors of the amendment would agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments? I think Angola first, please. Take the
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Deux petites choses. Premièrement, le nom de l'Angola disparaît. C'est l'Angola qui a proposé les renvois. Le nom de l'Angola ne figure pas dans les textes. Deuxième chose, nous sommes d'accord avec l'avis du rapporteur, mais nous aimerions peut-être reformuler un tout petit peu le dernier paragraphe du Brésil. Nous sommes d'accord avec ce paragraphe, mais peut-être nous allons le reformuler. Recommande à l'État partie de travailler en collaboration avec l'ICOMOS.
Thank you very much. Tunisia, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. La Tunisie soutient la proposition du rapporteur sur la reformulation du paragraphe 5.
Thank you. Bahrain, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just in reference to paragraph number 2, I know it's just a small amendment, but we would very much like to see the reference to a potential outstanding universal value be stated as a proposed site to meet criteria rather than having high potential, a potential. The reason for that is that, as we have seen in the deliberations in the committee, where the committee is quite divided on this matter, and I just want to avoid any further complications next year, so that the word high potential is not referenced as well again, and that we have seen in some committee members that certain terminology have been selected from the evaluation itself and based on, and we have seen that with the case of the comparative analysis, when ICOMOS sounded the comparative analysis was sound, and the fact is that the methodology was sound and not the attributes. So it's just a single word, but I think there are many implications for these minor mentions in the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you Now, Brazil, you have the floor.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Le Brésil est tout à fait d'accord avec les suggestions proposées par la rapporteure et soutenues par l'Angola et la Tunisie concernant le paragraphe 5. Et juste une question de traduction. Dans le paragraphe 2, il dit le potentiel du bien, et je pense que dans la version en anglais, c'est meilleur de dire the proposed property. Merci Madame la Présidente.
Thank you. Norway, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 small comments only. In 2A, I would propose that we introduce the potential outstanding universal value. And I would, in 2B also, as soon as we have been having a lot of discussions on boundaries and buffer zones, I would propose that we delete slightly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And there is a clarification from the Secretariat. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's concerning paragraph 5. The fact is that how it reads now, ICOMOS will collaborate to work on the preparation of a revised nomination. This is not possible to be evaluator and of the same nomination. So I think something on the lines to work in dialogue with ICOMOS on the implementation of the above recommendation will better follow the normal procedures.
Thank you very much. Tunisia, please.
Madame la Présidente, c'est une remarque de rédaction dans la version française. Si on peut voir le paragraphe 2 sur la proposition de la Norvège que nous soutenons, sauf qu'il vaut mieux dire redéfinir la proposition d'inscription en rentrant sur la valeur universelle potentielle et non pas le potentiel de la valeur universelle. Ça ne veut pas dire la même chose en français.
Okay, the reporter, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have received a number of amendments, some of them smaller, that concern paragraph 2, which now you can see reflected on the screen. But the bigger discussion we're having is on paragraph 5. I have submitted a proposal so that the phrase would read, recommends the state party in dialogue with ICOMOS to work on the preparation of a proposal for a revised nomination. And Tunisia supported this proposal, while Angola submitted an alternative wording. But if I am to understand correctly what we have just heard from the Secretariat, the issue is that the wording of Angola would imply the collaboration of ICOMOS on preparing a nomination that later then ICOMOS would actually evaluate. So in this sense, this proposed wording would not be consistent. And I see the distinguished delegate of Angola who proposed the wording wanting to take the floor. So maybe, Madam Chair, we could request for you to hear his opinion. Thank you.
Please, Angola.
Madame la Présidente, nous sommes d'accord avec la proposition faite par le secrétariat, c'est-à-dire travailler en collaboration avec l'ICOMOS dans la mise en œuvre des recommandations ci-dessus décrites ou mentionnées. Point. Plus ça.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe the real question that we have right now is whether we want to say that the state party should work in collaboration with ICOMOS or rather in dialogue with ICOMOS. And then we have, of course, the part about the implementation of the above-mentioned recommendations. But in my view, the essential question right now is which wording we're going to use. The state party to work in collaboration with ICOMOS or in dialogue with ICOMOS. Thank you very much.
Angola, please.
OK. Madame la Présidente, pour nous, il n'y a pas de... Travailler en collaboration implique un dialogue. Donc, pour nous, il n'y a pas de problème de dire collaboration. Le dialogue, collaboration implique dialogue, de toutes les façons.
Australia, please.
It's a complex language, English, sometimes. So dialogue is an exchange of views and engagement around a subject matter. A collaboration, to me, implies that ICOMOS and the state party together would essentially develop the nomination, and the point is that that wouldn't be appropriate. These are things are often usually dealt with through the state party and inviting an advisory mission. So I would suggest that in English the best language would be to work in dialogue, so with ICOMOS, to implement the above recommendations and enable preparation of a proposal.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection? No. Angola, please.
Madame la Présidente, dans ce contexte, moi je souhaiterais qu'on enlève l'ICOMOS dans le texte. Comme ça, l'État partie met en œuvre les recommandations qui ont été proposées.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. Through you, I would like to request from the delegate of Angola, if this is the wording that he would like to see then in paragraph 5, recommends the state party to implement the above-mentioned recommendations, full stop. Thank you.
On board, I think there is no objection. No objection. OK.
Oui, nous sommes d'accord, donc je pense que c'est neutre. Le dialogue peut être indirect entre l'État partie et l'ICOMOS.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to clean up paragraph 5. Yes, thank you, because if I understand from the room, everybody is in agreement with the proposal of Angola, so that now it would read, recommends the state party to implement the above-mentioned recommendations, full stop. And then the rest of the paragraph could be deleted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection? Any comments or objection? So we'll adopt the, excuse me? Brazil, please.
Sorry, Madam Chair, to take the floor again, but I think the spirit behind this paragraph is that we're giving a number of recommendations. There was debate whether through comparative analysis there could find attributes that could convey the potential OUV of this property. Couldn't we at least, in these recommendations, request the state party, if they recommend the state party to at least consider having an initial dialogue in the revised comparative analysis? Or we believe that the spirit is actually to bring them together and have the advisory service of ICOMOS to the benefits of this nomination. But of course, if the room is inclined to withdraw ICOMOS from this process, then we would draw our nomination. But our feeling is that we should keep a reference to a potential dialogue for the benefit of this nomination with ICOMOS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Tunisia, please.
Madame la Présidente, la Tunisie a deux remarques à observer concernant la proposition de l'Angola. Si nous nous en tenons au principe de demander à l'État partie de mettre en œuvre la recommandation et la résolution de notre comité, cela va de soi. C'est la conséquence de sa nature juridique. Sauf que nous souhaitons que le dossier ait toutes ses chances une fois qu'il sera représenté. Et toutes ces chances, cela découlera certainement d'un débat constructif et de compréhension entre l'État partie et les instances consultatives. Donc nous sommes plutôt vers le maintien de la citation et la désignation d'ICOMOS dans le paragraphe.
Thank you very much. Norway, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We just want to lend our support to the proposal from Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, can we? So, let us finalize the matter. Now, the text as it is. Okay, please, the reporter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I apologize. So, just to clear up the confusion a bit, now we're going to put down below the alternative that was proposed before for this paragraph, so maybe it's clearer the two options that we have, because if I am to understand the delegation of Brazil would like to retain some of the original spirit of their proposed paragraph. So in this sense, we can now see for paragraph 5 the two options, one which was proposed by Angola, which is the simple sentence about recommending the state party to implement the above-mentioned recommendations, and then we have an alternative which would read, recommends the state party in dialogue with ICOMOS to implement the above-mentioned recommendations. So through you, Madam Chair, I wish to put to the floor these two options. Thank you.
Kyrgyzstan, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are in favor of keeping the dialogue with ICOMOS.
Thank you. Tunisia, please.
La Tunisie est, Madame la Présidente, avec la deuxième version.
Thank you. Bahrain, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bahrain is with the option of keeping the dialogue with ICOMOS for more positive outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It seems that there is a consensus to the dialogue. Can we keep it and move on? Dialogue. Angola, please.
Madame la Présidente, on va faciliter les choses. J'avais demandé d'enlever l'ICOMOS parce que la tendance était que l'ICOMOS travaillerait avec 2 poids et 2 mesures pour éviter justement cette confusion. Voilà pourquoi j'avais proposé qu'on élimine l'ICOMOS. Mais je suis d'accord qu'on revienne sur le dialogue avec l'ICOMOS. Merci.
Thank you very much. So there is an agreement. We keep it as it is. Thank you very much. No. If you agree, we adopt it as a whole because we read it before. Yeah, yes. Is there any?
Very quickly in paragraph 2, redefine is on the screen. Yeah, thank you. No? Sorry, on B, redefine. Thank you.
So, is there any objection? We just adopted all as a whole, yeah? No objection. So, I therefore declare draft decision 42 com 8B 31 adopted as amended. Now we go back to Italy. Every industrial city of the 20th century. I now give the floor to Mr. Balsamo and then to the ICOMOS, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We received a factual error notification concerning the evaluation of Ivrea Industrial City of the 20th century. And this notification is on page 42 of the English version of the document in fate before and on page 47 on the French version of the same document. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. ICOMOS, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the presentation of the ICOMOS evaluation of Ivrea, Industrial City of the 20th century from Italy. Founded in 1908 by Camillo Olivetti, the Industrial City of Ivrea is an industrial and socio-cultural project of the 20th century. The Olivetti Company is known for the manufacture of typewriters, mechanical calculators, and desktop computers, and was established here from 1908, and at its height occupied 70% of the municipal area. Ivrea is located in Italy's Piedmont region. The industrial city was developed by the Olivetti Company on the right bank of Ivrea. The property includes a vast factory constructed between 1908 and 1958. The key features of the industrial city are distributed along the Corso Jarvis, including 27 buildings and architectural complexes. The nominated property features the main manufacturing and office buildings established by Olivetti from the early 20th century to the 1980s. Other buildings include the company canteen and leisure centre, the Olivetti Study and Research Centre, the Social Services Centre, and an array of residential buildings. The Olivetti Company continued to develop in the decades that followed the 1960s, including a large office building, data processing centre, and the Western Residential Unit. The entire ensemble is connected by a network of streets, paths, and public spaces. Ivrea's urban form and many of its buildings were designed by some of the best-known Italian architects and town planners of the period. Ivrea was built and operated according to the ideas of the Monumental Comunità, or community movement. Olivetti provided its workforce with community facilities, social services, and invested in the building of housing, including family homes, homes for executives, and many apartments. At its peak in 1958, the number of people employed by the company in Ivrea alone was approximately 26,000. However, from the 1980s, the company declined due to changes in communications technologies. The company progressively abandoned its large premises in Ivrea, and the former industrial park, production sites, and offices were divided and acquired by private owners. The property includes the spatial plan of the industrial city, the public buildings and spaces, and residential buildings developed by Olivetti. The influence of the community movement is an important intangible element, even though the functions of most non-residential buildings have ceased. While the comparative analysis could be further deepened, it was improved considerably by the State Party during the evaluation process and now justifies the consideration of Ivrea for the World Heritage List. The integrity of the property is vulnerable due to factors such as the encroachment of new urban developments and intrusive new constructions, the deteriorating condition of some key commercial or industrial buildings and building interiors, and loss of the original activities and purposes due to the decline in manufacturing. The authenticity of the property is demonstrated, although there is a risk of gradual loss. Efforts have been made to develop new uses that are similar in type to their original uses, such as telecommunications, production, and/or cultural activities. ICOMOS considers that criterion 4 has been demonstrated. However, based on the comparative analysis, ICOMOS does not consider that the other criteria proposed by the state party 2 and 6 are demonstrated. ICOMOS considers that the boundaries and buffer zones are appropriate, although a small change to the boundary has been proposed. The state of conservation of the buildings of Ivrea varies. While the residential buildings tend to be in reasonable condition, 44% of the former industrial and corporate buildings of the property are vacant or underused and require maintenance. This system of legal protection is complex and multi-tiered, based on national, regional, and local laws, and the national listing process for some of the building attributes is not yet completed. The management system is considered to be appropriate, although significant resources will be needed for the long-term implementation, along with ongoing and effective engagement with residents and local authorities. ICOMOS recommends that the nomination of Ivrea, Industrial City of the 20th Century Italy, be referred back to the state party in order to finalize and confirm the national and local protection for the property. ICOMOS also proposes that the property boundary should exclude the site of the recent housing project facing the so-called red brick building, but include it in the buffer zone. And finally, ICOMOS considers that in the face of such complex challenges, Ivrea requires a strategic conservation plan. The full text of these reasons is shown on the slide and in the draft decision. ICOMOS has also made a number of further recommendations in order to strengthen the long-term conservation and management of Ivrea. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments? Spain, please, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Bien, la delegación del Reino de España considera este conjunto industrial en las proximidades del Valle de Aosta un complejo industrial relacionado con marcas Olivetti, con las fábricas, talleres, oficinas, laboratorios de gran interés estético, arquitectónico y funcional. Es una ciudad industrial, como muy bien ha quedado reflejada por la intervención de la representante de ICOMOS, en muy buen estado de conservación y de un gran interés tipológico, recordando que este patrimonio industrial era una de las tipologías ausentes o escasas en la lista de patrimonio mundial, con lo cual queremos felicitar al Estado parte por presentar este tipo de bienes, ¿no? que ayudan a completar la representatividad y la credibilidad de la lista de patrimonio mundial. La delegación española ha presentado una enmienda que propone la inscripción de este bien en la lista de patrimonio mundial, debido a que, como también ha reflejado en la exposición de la representante de ICOMOS, existe ese valor universal excepcional amparado en el criterio 4, existe una gran autenticidad, tiene la protección jurídica y la gestión, un plan de gestión correcto, que yo creo que cumple con los parámetros que exige un bien para incluirlo en la lista, y el análisis comparativo, que en un primer momento no era del todo suficiente, ha sido mejorado por el Estado parte después de en los últimos meses. Por lo tanto, ese riesgo quizás de pérdida de alguno de los valores, seguro que con la inscripción estamos convencidos que el Estado parte tomará las medidas para minimizar esos riesgos una vez que esté en la lista de patrimonio mundial. Por lo tanto, la delegación del Reino de España presenta esta enmienda para la inscripción con el criterio 4 de este bien. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Brazil, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta.
Brasil quisera felicitar ao Estado parte por la apresentação de bem de patrimônio moderno, Ivrea, a cidade industrial do século XX, ubicada em la região de Piemont. Considerando a informação apresentada hasta o momento da avaliação por o órgão consultivo, seria necessário que o Estado parte aclarara se há procedido ao reconhecimento nacional de bem proposto. Caso haja realizado este reconhecimento, a delegação brasileira considera que as aportações apresentadas por ICOMOS são importantes e necessárias para assegurar uma gestão adequada do bem e tendo em conta que o valor universal excepcional se há identificado à luz do critério 4. Brasil considera que o bem pode ser escrito, cabendo a este comitê, em sua decisão, demandar ao Estado parte que, em um período de 2 anos, 2020, presente a este comitê os resultados acerca de las ações e recomendações expressas por o órgão consultivo em seu projeto de decisão proposto para avaliação deste comitê. Graças, Senhora Presidenta.
Thank you very much. Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The nominated property, Industrial City of Ivrea, is an industrial and socio-cultural project of the 20th century and represents a significant example of 20th century series of urban development and architecture in response to industrial and social transformation. We would like to express our warm gratitude to advisory body ICOMOS for very detailed evaluation report and to State Party for well-done nomination this year. According to ICOMOS report, comparative analysis justify consideration of the property for the World Heritage List. The nominated property meets the condition of the integrity and authenticity, and that criterion 4 has been demonstrated. The boundaries of the nominated property and its buffer zone are appreciated, with the exception of new designed building inside of the property area. The management system of the property is appreciated too. The State Party recently adopted the legal measures for improving the protection of the visual integrity of the property. The nominated property meets outstanding universal value, integrity, and authenticity requirements, and therefore we support the inscription of this nomination into the World Heritage List under the criterion 4. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Cuba, please. You have the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Agradecemos la información brindada y el análisis aportado por el órgano consultivo con relación a una temática sin duda importante y con potencialidades en términos de aportar nuevas expresiones que den en su justa medida el aporte del patrimonio industrial y particularmente del siglo XX en la lista del patrimonio mundial. Cuba apoya la propuesta de inscripción de este sitio, tal como se sugiere en este caso, fundamentado por el criterio 4. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My delegation welcomes the nomination of this modern heritage site, which definitely contributes to the awareness of this important type of heritage in the humankind history. What distinguishes the industrial city of Ivrea is the ideology presented which allowed to assert the architectural values of the 20th century that promoted unity by a cohesive culture as a reforming process for industrial town planning. Olivete complained that cities had been expanded. I may quote him incoherently for uniquely selfish goals, materialistic, speculative, without a real plan coming from a general vision of life. His ambition was to experiment what he called a human industrial city. This resulted in the creation of an exceptional example of a ground for experimentation with social and architectural ideas about the industrial processes. We believe that the value of Ivrea has been demonstrated, but we'd like the State Party to have the floor to address the points raised by the advisory body. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, before I give Tunisia, I have in front of me around 7 requests. And it seems that there will be a consensus, so please be brief. Tunisia, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. La Tunisie se félicite de cette proposition et félicite l'État partie de proposer pour inscription sur la liste du patrimoine mondial la cité d'Ivrea qui vient renforcer et enrichir une catégorie de patrimoine encore très peu représentée sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. La Tunisie félicite également l'organisation consultative du COMOS pour son rapport globalement positif et appuie l'amendement présenté par l'Espagne et propose l'inscription de ce bien selon le critère 4. Et je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Zimbabwe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zimbabwe supports the recommendation to change the draft decision of Ivrea from referral to inscribed. The industrial city of Ivrea is a unique industrial architecture and represents the apex of innovation in 20th century production as represented by the transition from mechanical to digitalized industrial technologies. Our delegation also notes that the state party has managed to demonstrate the outstanding universal value of the property through criteria 4, as noted in the evaluation conducted by ICOMOS. The state party has managed to demonstrate that the property meets the condition of authenticity, as the property is still made up of the original structures that were developed during the early phases of the development of the city. The Zimbabwe delegation believes that the protection and management mechanisms that are still to be put in place could be addressed as part of the ongoing management initiatives at the property, while it is already part of the World Heritage List. Madam Chair, we therefore support the amended draft decision proposed by Spain and others. Thank you.
Thank you. Norway, please.
Madam Chair, Norway commends Italy for exposing the legacy of the 20th century through this nomination. We don't have many of that kind. The modern industrial and urban architectural and planning history of Europe has many facets, among them physical manifestations of theories in the field, including socioeconomic aspect. Ivrea is for sure an example. We do encourage Italy to take on board the recommendations in the draft decision. Norway, as a host for an industrial heritage site, would like to wish Italy good luck in their important task of preserving and protecting this property through good management and new and adapted reuse of these important buildings that are in their care. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Angola, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Nous félicitons l'État partie pour la qualité de la proposition qui nous est soumise, également la pertinence de l'évaluation faite par l'ICOMOS. Nous sommes devant un bien d'une grande importance historique, comme les autres l'ont dit, sur les processus d'industrialisation au XXe siècle, dont l'ICOMOS, dans son rapport, affirme bien que les attributs justifiant la VUE du site à travers l'analyse comparative, les aspects d'intégrité et d'authenticité, les critères 4, considère également que le système de protection, de conservation et de gestion est approprié, bien qu'il existe quelques menaces qui puissent peser sur la VUE du bien en ce qui concerne certains projets de construction de nouveaux bâtiments. Par conséquent, nous soutenons donc l'inscription de ces sites sous les critères 2 et 4 et recommandons à l'État partie de travailler en collaboration avec l'ICOMOS pour mettre en œuvre des mesures correctives devant préserver les attributs de ces biens. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Hungary, please.
Hungary commends the state party for the preparation of the nomination file of Ivrea Industrial City of the 20th century. The Hungarian delegation is convinced that the site corresponds to criteria 4 and to all the necessary requirements, since the property is well preserved, maintaining its original characteristics from the 1930s, including all the essential elements that are elementary in the representation of its values. The state party's openness and willingness to dialogue throughout the evaluation process is well appreciated. The endeavors of the state party in order to answer the requirements stated in the draft decision of the advisory body concerning the national legal protection of the property are satisfactory. The cooperation of the state party in the revision of the property's boundary and in the preparation of the strategic conservation plan is appreciated by Hungary. Based on the outstanding universal value of the site, Hungary, joining the proposal of Spain, supports the inscription of the site on the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tanzania, please.
Madam Chair, we'll spare your time. United Republic of Tanzania commends the State Party of Italy for presenting this interesting nomination. Tanzania thanks the advisor body for its comprehensive report on Ivrea, which represents a significant example of 20th century theory of urban development and architecture in response to industrial and social transformation. Ivrea is also a testimony of transition from mechanical to digital industry. Yet, Madam Chair, in this time of evolution from digital to artificial intelligence, the history of Ivrea could also be a mirror of ideal of 20th century. Madam Chair, Ivrea is proposed to be nominated on the basis of cultural criteria 2, 4, and 6. ICOMOS agree partially with justification on criteria 2 and 6. However, it considers that criteria 4 is fully demonstrated. The boundary of nominated property and its buffer zone are appropriate. Municipal plan was updated in September 2017, and legal measures have been taken to improve the protection of visual integrity of the property. In regard to above, Madam Chair, Tanzania prefer to be proactive and adhere to the spirit of encouragement. It therefore proposed the Ivrea Industrial City of 20th century to be inscribed in the World Heritage List. Tanzania supports the proposal amendment by Spain and congratulates Italy for this wonderful proposal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Australia, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to keep it brief, that we will support the amendment of Spain as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bosnia, please.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente. Très brièvement, tout d'abord, nous pensons que la valeur exceptionnelle, extraordinaire a été démontrée, que le critère 4 est tout à fait justifié, et nous estimons que l'État partie a déjà fait ou rempli une importante partie des recommandations de l'ICOMOS. Par conséquent, la Bosnie-Herzégovine soutient l'inscription. Merci.
Thank you very much. Guatemala, please.
Gracias, señora Presidente. Para ser muy breve, no repetiré lo que ya han dicho los colegas del comité, pero quisiera decir que esta inscripción tiene la posibilidad de enviar un mensaje claro al mundo sobre la relevancia del patrimonio industrial del siglo XX, el cual está en evidente proceso de destrucción por una idea generalizada que le considera muy moderno para ser un monumento histórico, demasiado funcional para ser una obra de arte, muy nuevo para ser un bien arqueológico y muy obsoleto para ser tecnológicamente interesante, aunque puede llegar a ser todo esto junto. Es necesario que los Estados parte vean detenidamente hacia la riqueza que ofrece este tipo de patrimonio para comprender también nuestra historia reciente y enriquecer la lista del patrimonio mundial. Muchas gracias. Y por consiguiente apoyamos la propuesta de enmienda. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Finally, St. Kitts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. St. Kitts and Nevis commends the State Party of Italy for this significant nomination of the Ivrea Industrial City of the 20th century, which shows well-preserved examples of buildings of industry and social service that are of high architectural quality. In addition to previous speakers, we are also in favor of inscription of the property under Criterion 4 and urges the State Party to implement the recommendations of ICOMOS. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Now the floor to the reporter to give us the final amendment, the final text of the amendments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As it was noted during the discussion, we have received amendment to this draft decision, I apologize, submitted by Spain, Angola, Azerbaijan, and Brazil, while the original draft decision would have referred the nomination back to the State Party. This proposed amendment would instead inscribe the property on the World Heritage List, and we have heard a wide support for these amendments. As such, the document now contains a provisional statement of outstanding universal value, as well as identification of criteria under which the property should be inscribed. It has assessments of the conditions of integrity and authenticity, as well as statement on the protection and management requirements, as well as 2 additional paragraphs with some requests and recommendations to the state party. Madam Chair, if I may just make one observation, the amendment would inscribe this property under criterion 4, but during the intervention of the distinguished delegate of Angola, who is amongst the co-authors of this amendment, I believe that he has said that he supports the inscription based on criterion 2 and 4. So I would just like to make clear that the proposed inscription would happen under criterion 4. And these are the amendments we received. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is the final text of the decision. Is there any objection? So we'll adopt it. No objection. Huh? Therefore, I declare draft decision 42, 8B, 30 as amended, adopted. So on your behalf, I congratulate Italy and I give them the floor. Please, Italy, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, let me make a brief comment on what happened before. We thank all that supported the Prosecco candidacy, but we wish to express that what happened before would never happen to any other member state. In order to have trust and have this organization be coherent and move forward. Having said that, I'm very, very proud of the decision that this committee made on Ivrea. And on behalf of the Italian government, we want to share our happiness and satisfaction. And we wish to thank all members of the World Heritage Committee and ICOMOS for the appreciation of Ivrea, industrial city of the 20th century. Adriano Olivetti realized in Ivrea a social way of life through architecture and transformed the industrial city into the best example of the Italian architecture from the 30s to the 70s. Ivrea represents the synthesis of a new modern industrial culture, where a small family company has become a global phenomenon recognized all around the world for the design, the high technological value, and the positive impact towards the local community. On the one hand, Ivrea combined industrial development together with the cultural, social, and economic one. On the other, it represents one of the most important experiences from an architectural, urbanistic, and technological point of view. Ivrea remains a long-standing example of human-driven development, sustainable and fair towards the next generations. This nomination recognizes the modernity of this value and projects them to the future. And now allow me to pass the floor to the chair of the Olivetti Foundation for a brief remark.
Thank you very much for a little time, We wish to remember Laura Olivetti's passion and kind perseverance, who promoted the nomination 10 years ago. Finally, we share with all of you the inspiring words of her father, Adriano. We believe in the unlimited power of spiritual forces, love, truth, justice, and beauty. Men, ideologies, states that will forget only one of these creative forces cannot indicate to anyone the path of civilization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So our next site will be in Spain. Caliphate City of Medina Zahra. I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of the Caliphate City of Medina Zahra, Spain. And before that, I give the floor to the Secretariat, Mr. Balsamo, to introduce the site. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We received a fatal error notification concerning the evaluation of the Caliphate City of Medina Zahara, which is to be found on page 86 of document INF8B4 and on page 41 of the French version of the same document. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. ICOMOS, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm now presenting the ICOMOS evaluation for the Caliphate City of Medina Zahra in Spain. The text of this evaluation can be found on page 113 of the document INF 8B1. The Caliphate City of Medina Zahra is an archaeological city built in the mid-20th century by the Western Umayyad dynasty as the seat of the Caliphate of Cordoba. Located in the province of Cordoba, in the autonomous community of Andalusia, the property is enclosed by the city walls, occupying an area of around 111 hectares. The city flourished for a short while, but was then destroyed, and an archaeological remains lay hidden for nearly 1,000 years until rediscovered in the 20th century. To date, about 12 hectares, only 10% of the urban area, have been excavated, and this is mainly limited to the central area of the fortified palace and the Great Mosque. The knowledge of the urban structure of Medina Zahra is therefore very schematic, but within the walled enclosure, the organization of the city into 3 parallel strips running from north to south can clearly be seen. The central strip corresponds to the fortified palace situated on one of the highest levels, with its buildings arrangement in terraces down to the mountain side. The eastern fringe constitutes the Medina itself, with 2 urbanized areas built on different designs and separated by stream. The smaller western fringe seems to have been occupied mainly by buildings belonging to the Caliphate state, along with small areas of workers' house. The Medina Zahra is outstanding testimony of a complete urban complex of a city in Europe and from an historical period in the whole Western Islamic culture. In its evaluation, ICOMOS considered that the comparative analysis justifies inscription of this property on the World Heritage List, that the nominated property meets criteria 3 and 4, and the conditions of integrity and authenticity. The boundaries of the nominated property and of its buffer zone are adequate, and the legal protection is in place is also adequate. ICOMOS considered that the legal protection is adequate, but then the development pressure in the buffer zone requires careful monitoring, and mitigation measures regarding illegal settlements must be implemented. The main threats to the property are illegal settlement activities in the buffer zone and water damage to the limestone masonry. ICOMOS also considered that the state of conservation of the attribute of this nominated property, while generally good, differs from fair to complex. Some early intervention on the monument still require remediation work, and other conservation works are also necessary. ICOMOS considered that the management system is generally adequate, however, appropriate and timely funding must be secured for the property. In conclusion, ICOMOS recommends that the Caliphate City of Medina Zahra in Spain be inscribed on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 3 and 4. ICOMOS further recommends that the state party give consideration to the following: securing the appropriate and timely funding to the property, clarifying the time frame for implementation of the mitigation on the edges of the illegal settlement with hard and soft landscaping, carrying out special monitoring on the portion of Las Pintas beyond Guadalmalato River Canal, where urban plots are still empty, with a view to avoiding development, of at least ensuring development has minimal impact. improving the monitoring by developing indicators which directly measure the state of conservation, elaborating in detail the evidence of the evolution of conservation doctrine and criteria in the baseline document about the site, and updating the approval operational plan of Medina Zahara in order to ensure the preservation of the site. And finally, ECOMES recommends that the name of the property be modified in order to keep the historical name and therefore become the Caliphate City of Medina Zahara. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, all the congratulations out of this hall. And there is a special place for the congratulation outside this hall, please. Okay, so thank you very much. And is there any comments as this site is will propose for the inscription? I presume that there is no comments. Okay, I live in Norway. Just please be brief. Thank you. Brazil, I cannot see from far. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to start by commending Spain for the notable example now presented of continuous, dedicated, and consistent work in elaborating this dossier, observing the decisions of previous sessions of this committee, and acting in close coordination and cooperation with the advisory bodies. This constructive and forward-looking attitude culminated in the positive outcome we have before us now. The Caliphate City of Medina Sahara Archaeological Site offers extraordinary knowledge about the material culture of the development of the Western Islamic civilization of Andaluz, especially the Umayyad cultural and architectural civilization, illustrating the significant period of the 10th century in the Iberian Peninsula. The Brazilian delegation would like to highlight the policy of minimal intervention and the conservation of the natural environment of the site as pillars of the authenticity of this property. It is also remarkable the involvement of governmental authorities, including departmental levels, to ensure the special plan for the protection of Medina Sahara, which reinforces the joint effort in meeting the management and protection requirements. Me complace en este punto felicitar a la delegación de España y a todos los estados partes que han contribuido para esa nominación. Muchísimas gracias y felicitaciones, España. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Norway, do you have any objection about the inscription? Because we want to move quickly in this file. Yes? No objection. Shall we move? Thank you very much.
Just a short remark. We congratulate Spain with this inscription, and we support the state party to keep the well-established name of the property, Medina Sahara. Felicitaciones, España.
Thank you very much. Tunisia, do you have any objection, or we go forward, please, because we don't have time? Do you have any objection?
Non, nous n'avons pas d'objection. Je voulais revenir sur la question de l'appellation. Bien évidemment que cette appellation repose sur le dossier tel qu'il est introduit par l'État partie, et l'Espagne a déjà inscrit d'autres sites dont l'origine vient bien entendu de la langue arabe, mais qui sont inscrits à l'UNESCO avec leur appellation moderne aujourd'hui. Peut-être devrions-nous avoir en tête la question de la question de la cohérence générale de notre système d'inscription.
Thank you very much. I give France finally the floor. As observer, please, you have 2 minutes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je n'utiliserai pas les 2 minutes, c'était juste pour féliciter la délégation espagnole pour ce remarquable dossier, la façon dont il a été présenté et tout ce qu'il apporte au patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Now I give the reporter the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We didn't receive amendments to this draft decision. Thank you.
Very well.
Thank you very much. So I therefore declare a draft decision 42, COM 8B 33 adopted. Adopted. There is an amendment. Now I give the floor to Spain, please.
Muchísimas gracias, señora presidenta. España quiere agradecer a todos los miembros del comité y a los observadores por el apoyo a esta candidatura y también la fructífera colaboración con ICOMOS. Esta declaración es un reconocimiento de la labor conjunta del Ministerio, de la Junta de Andalucía, del Ayuntamiento y a ese gran esfuerzo en la gestión y la conservación. Medina Zahara es un ejemplo único de ciudad califal dentro del ámbito europeo y es parte de nuestro legado andalusí del que estamos muy orgullosos y estamos especialmente contentos de poder compartir con todos vosotros. Más de un siglo de arqueología y conservación han permitido que llegue un diseño urbano intacto a nuestros días. Y todo esto es gracias a esa labor conjunta. Quisiera destacar el centro de interpretación perfectamente integrado, sostenible, que contribuye a un mejor entendimiento del sitio y muy mimetizador en el entorno. Paso la palabra a las autoridades de la Junta de Andalucía y del Ayuntamiento de Córdoba, que tanto han trabajado en este dossier, reconociendo sobre todo el trabajo de técnicos, arqueólogos y todos los que nos han estado apoyando durante todos estos años. Gracias.
Muchas gracias en nombre del Gobierno de Andalucía por la inscripción de Medina Zahara en la lista de Patrimonio Mundial. Nos llena de enorme satisfacción. Es un sitio único por los valores patrimoniales. Es un símbolo de tolerancia y convivencia entre pueblos y culturas y, además, ha sido un ejemplo de hacer comunidad en la defensa del patrimonio. Esta candidatura ha concitado el apoyo unánime de la sociedad cordobesa y de Andalucía. En el Gobierno de Andalucía apostamos por la defensa del patrimonio. Tenemos ya 13 bienes incluidos en la lista de Patrimonio Mundial y esta supone un nuevo estímulo para seguir trabajando en defensa del patrimonio, porque invertir en patrimonio es invertir en futuro. Muchas gracias.
Como alcaldesa de Córdoba, quiero agradecer al Comité de Patrimonio Mundial de la UNESCO esta declaración, porque supone depositar en la ciudad de Córdoba un caudal de confianza desde el que ya les garantizo que no les vamos a defraudar. Cuidaremos de Medina Zahara igual que llevamos desde hace siglos cuidando de la mezquita catedral, del casco histórico o de nuestros patios. Y para cualquier ciudadano del mundo que visite nuestra ciudad, que sepa que este va a ser un bien también de su propiedad y de su patrimonio. Estoy convencida que declaraciones como la de Medina Zahara supone elevar a la máxima categoría la única ciudad califal que sigue existiendo en Europa. Y ello conlleva un enorme simbolismo en momentos donde la convivencia intercultural es más necesaria que nunca. Volver a agradecer la confianza. Muchísimas gracias.
thank you very much. And now I just would like that everybody want to congratulate to do this after outside the plenary, please, because we have to move. We don't have time. Thank you very much. So now our next site will be Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of the site. And before that, I give Mr. Balsamo the floor to introduce the site. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We received a fatwa error notification for the evaluation of the Göbekli Tepe nomination put forward by Turkey. This factual error notification was in this notification, the advisory body recognized some factual errors that imply changes to the text of the proposed statement of OUV, and these changes are being already integrated in the text that we have. And the notification itself, it has to be found on page 86 of the 87, of the English document, INF 8 before, and on page 87 as well for the French version. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The ICOMOS, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Göbekli Tepe displays ensembles of monumental megalithic structures with numerous examples of T-shaped pillars carved with rich imagery. It is associated with groups of hunter-gatherers in the pre-pottery Neolithic period. The property encompasses the archaeological site and is surrounded by a buffer zone. Göbekli Tepe is a tell, or artificial hill, in Upper Mesopotamia, between the upper and middle reaches of the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, in the foothills of the Taurus Mountains, a region which saw the emergence of the oldest farming communities in the world. Its topographical position on the plateau makes it a visible landmark from afar, and its location also affords extensive views over the surrounding plains and may have been deliberately chosen. Excavations at the site only begun in 1995, just a year after it was discovered, and when it was a pristine site with no impacts from ploughing or looting. Since then, what have been revealed are extraordinary complexes of round, oval, and rectangular monumental megalithic enclosures, within which are pillars remarkable due to their sheer size, number, and rich carving. What proved unexpected was the dates determined for these structures, which put their creation to between 9,600 and 8,200 before the Christian era. It appears that these structures were continuously rebuilt, used, and then perhaps intentionally buried over a span of approximately 1,500 years. Only a few enclosures, 8 in all, have been excavated, but geophysical surveys indicate that at least 20 others exist within the tell. Each of the enclosures have revealed T-shaped limestone monoliths, either standing in the center or embedded in the walls. Building D is the largest and best preserved enclosure so far investigated, with 2 central pillars surrounded by a circle of 11 more, decorated with depictions of a wide range of animals. The pillars may represent an abstract depiction of the human head. Clearly visible are arms on the shafts with hands brought together above the abdomen. When first excavated, the rich imagery of the carved pillars was seen to provide an insight into the worldview and belief systems of these prehistoric populations. Clearly, this large site is in the early stages of exploration, and further work will almost certainly modify the initial conclusions. T-shaped stones are not unique to Göbekli Tepe and are known from other sites in the wider region. But Göbekli Tepe may be seen to have an elevated position within a wider regional network of these sites. While excavations initially were understandably focused on these monumental structures, recent excavations also provide evidence of what might be termed domestic structures of lesser architectural complexity, but in close proximity to the monuments. The Neolithic structures are set on a limestone plateau, which provided the raw material for the stone buildings. Initial surveys of this landscape are beginning to reveal waterholes and other evidence for prehistoric use. Göbekli Tepe appears to have been sited in relation to its visibility across the surrounding plains and to give it views of significant distant mountains. ICOMOS considers that this setting is of crucial importance. Excavations in the early stages of the surrounding plains have not yet revealed precisely how much archaeological landscapes might be out there, but we do consider, though, that adequate protection must be given to Göbekli Tepe's dominant position in that landscape. The nominated area is protected as a Grade 1 archaeological area, but the buffer zone is currently protected only as Grade 3, a designation that allows construction of compulsory infrastructure, while the wider management area includes farms and settlements and currently has little protection. A new irrigation canal and a quarry site are visible from the property, and a railway is being considered at the edge of the buffer zone, and this would also be visible. Further threats are from electricity pylons and improved roads. We are concerned at the potential impacts of tourism and tourist facilities. Although tourism numbers are currently low due to stability problems in the wider region, Göbekli Tepe could prove to be as major an attraction as nearby Nemrut Dağ. Moreover, the site is forecast to make a substantial contribution to the tourist revenue for the region, and currently there is no visitor management plan. The site was recently closed for 18 months in order to install protective covers over the excavated areas, as can be seen here. Visitor facilities were also constructed, which are partly within the property and partly immediately outside, but highly visible from it. We consider that any further facilities must be sited further away from the property and beyond the buffer zone. ICOMOS considers that the comparative analysis fully justifies the exceptionality of this ceremonial monument, which is several millennia earlier than anything so far on the World Heritage List, and for which there are no other similar sites. In terms of outstanding universal value and criteria, the State Party initially suggested that the justification should include the idea of the site being a kind of temple that reflected belief systems of early communities. In its revisions, and in the light of more work, it suggests that the first temples of mankind interpretation should not be pursued. ICOMOS supports this change and considers that criteria 1, 2, and 4 are met. In terms of authenticity and integrity, ICOMOS considers that while they are technically met, they are highly vulnerable in terms of the potential threats that have already been outlined. The protection of the buffer zone and the wider setting needs to be considerably strengthened. Overall, we do not consider that the protection and development control in place are nearly resilient enough to forestall the enormous pressures that are likely to impact on this property and its setting, from infrastructure, tourism, and rural development. Heritage conservation and the demands for development must be reconciled through the urgent development of a master plan for the property and its wider setting, and implemented through much stronger development control measures. In conclusion, ICOMOS recommends that Göbekli Tepe be inscribed on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 1, 2, and 4, but that, in view of the considerable potential threats to its buffer zone and wider setting, that it be simultaneously inscribed on the list of World Heritage Danger. ICOMOS also recommends that the State Party should invite a mission to visit the site as soon as possible to agree a desired state of conservation, and we have made other recommendations that are set out in the working documents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments? I think we have received amendments, so we have 10 minutes, your comments to do the amendments and the reporter, and then the adoption. So, Australia, please, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, Australia unreservedly supports the inscription of Göbekli Tepe on the World Heritage List under criterion 1, 2 and 4. being one of the most important archaeological sites in the world that's been excavated over the past 30 years. Its monolithic architecture, engraved images and archaeological evidence offer extraordinary insight into the lives and society of Neolithic peoples, and there is much, much more for us to learn from this site. Australia does not consider that the property meets the requirements for inclusion on the list of World Heritage in Danger, and we support the amendments of Brazil to this effect. We do agree with many of the issues raised by ICOMOS about the potential future impacts to the site. With ICOMOS, we're concerned about the protection of archaeological deposits that may exist in the buffer zone, which are currently protected by a third-degree archaeological conservation area, as a third-degree archaeological conservation area as opposed to the first degree in the core. Little archaeological research has yet taken place in the buffer zone, but the State Party has provided in its supplementary information information that clarifies that an archaeological research program funded from 2019 to 21 will identify and assess the archaeology of the buffer zone to provide the evidence that will warrant a higher first-degree protection order. So we're satisfied that the current third-degree protection is sufficient in the meantime while the archaeological testing in the buffer zone is carried out. The additional information provided by the State Party also indicates that threats to the property identified by ICOMOS are in the process of being addressed. We would like to ask the State Party about the progress and the time frame for completion of the construction of the canal that was identified by ICOMOS as a potential threat to the visual integrity of the site. We continue to be concerned about the tourism pressures on the property. We're aware that the State Party will be revising the management plan to include a tourism management plan, so we would also like to ask the State Party when the tourism management plan for the site will be completed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brazil, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We welcome with great pleasure this nomination that, in our point of view, reflects consistent and solid work by the State Party. This is a dossier that clearly demonstrates the authenticity and integrity of an outstanding example of an ensemble of monumental megalithic structures that bring us to the pre-pottery Neolithic period of human history. The draft decision proposed acknowledges the commitments of the State Party regarding management and protection requirements involving authorities of different levels. We highlight that the draft also presents to the State Party a set of recommendations to be duly followed and implemented. The Brazilian delegation understands that it would be premature at this point to inscribe a Göbekli Tepe on the list of the World Heritage in Danger, as we believe it does not face any of the ascertained or potential dangers defined in the paragraph 179 of the operational guidelines. The Brazilian delegation, therefore, presents small amendments to the draft decision and congratulates Turkey for this magnificent nomination of great importance to human history. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, in front of me, I have around 10 requests to speak. We'll start this afternoon, 3 o'clock. So we'll close now our session and we'll come back 3 o'clock. We have a small announcement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The side events for the lunch break today. A side event will start in room Khawar on the Dutch World Heritage Sites, protection of OUV and solutions for climate adaptation, sustainable energy and urban development. The event is organized by the permanent delegation of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to UNESCO and the Ministry of Education, Culture and Science of the Netherlands. Another side event starting at 1:10 in room Manama is in the AB space, concerns everything you've always wanted to know about the advisory bodies but were afraid to ask. It starts at 1:10 in room Manama, and the Dutch event starts at 1 o'clock in room Khawar. Thank you very much.